Hey, Thunder Poke is here. Today I'll recap a 2021 movie named Black Island. Movies start with a crazy stray dog barking at an old woman, who runs for her life but ends up losing it. She is Jonas's grandmother, the protagonist. His father doesn't share good terms with his grandfather, so he too doesn't share a connection with them. The dispute between his parents and grandparents was heart-wrenching, which led to a car accident 4 months later. The car seems to lose its balance because someone appeared in front of their car. Jonas's parents lose their lives in the accident and leave him alone with his grandfather, with whom he never talked casually. In these few months, Jonas has lost his very close relationship with his best friend Nina, consoles him with a drink until his grandfather invites him to live on the Black Island. He has to share a roof with his cold grandfather, but he gets his school friends back again. He is relieved because he never wanted to leave the island like his friends, and now he gets the chance to live his life happily. He spends the entire year relieving the trauma and getting back to normal life. They have a new teacher in the replacement of their German language professor, who had a car accident lately. Helena is a blonde-eyed girl who takes them to the beach for a walk on the first day. She wants them to embrace their bodies and admire the wonders of having a healthy, prosperous life. Also, she asks for help with moving the furniture. That evening, Nina joins and finds a suspicious box in the storeroom. But Helena takes control of everything. Unfortunately, Nina gets her foot hurt, and they take her to the hospital. Jonas and Nina spend their time together, where he feels at home and shares her shoulder to ease up all stress. Helena reveals that she is obsessed with Jonas and has hundreds of his pictures. She has been tracking his life lately. She burns them all because Nina stares at her suspiciously, and she doesn't want any trouble. She joins Jonas on the next morning's jog and flirts with him. She is also inspired by his writing hobby. Also, she inquires about his relationship with Nina, but he sounds confused. So Helena thinks of trying her luck. She assigns them a poem to write, knowing that Jonas is an excellent writer. Nina wants help with writing, so she consults Jonas, who helps her to write a beautiful piece of poetry. Jonas's grandfather used to be a writer too, but he saw no scope in it. He also abandoned his father for his love of poetry. It runs in their family, so Jonas can write so much better than others. But his rude grandfather insults his lines. He never appreciated his hard work and discouraged him to write more. The next day at school, Helena gets to know that Jonas has written Nina's poem. She discusses it with him, appreciates his writing, and asks him to show more work. Jonas is not sure about his writing profession but is compelled by her motivational words. Finally, he opens up about his writing pieces. He visits Helena to deliver the work, and she invites him in. She even tries to seduce him with her naked body. Finally, the wine sips and the big shaggy tears help seduce the young boy. He is compelled to show empathy, which ends up in kissing each other. Soon they are in each other's laps, but Helena doesn't let him get guilty of what he has done. She acts like it is all normal and even encourages him to do more. Nina gets a glimpse of that suspicious intimacy between them but ignores it for a while. Also, she admits that Jonas wrote her poem, but Helena behaves maturely and asks her to try writing on her own. However, Nina knows the truth behind her sugary accent and hates her for playing nice. Later, Nina joins Jonas at his home, where he unwraps the furniture and decides to sell his parents' home. An old toy brings up tears and hopelessness to his eyes, but she pities him with a warm hug and kiss. She also ensures that she'll always be with him. In the meantime, Helena changes her appearance with shorter blonde hair. On the day of the school's anniversary, Jonas's grandfather is asked to make a speech, but he faints to see Helena in the crowd. Nina was observing all this and she reported it to Jonas. He finds her crazy for putting Helena into it and advises her to ignore it. Nina gets emotional and leaves his place in tears. However, she notices someone out of his house on the crazy windy night but leaves. Actually, this is Helena sneaking into Jonas's bedroom and making love. She wakes up next to Jonas but rushes out of the house before anyone can watch her. Unfortunately, Nina sees her running out of the house, which ruined her whole morning. She feels awful to see Helena and now she knows about her suspicious glares in past. In addition, her friend reveals that her father also noticed Helena in the ceremony. He believed that she looked like an old teacher from the school. Jonas's grandfather takes out an old letter from a secret drawer and reads it as it is from someone lovable. He also forbids Jonas from attending school, but he refuses to obey. He asks him about Helena because he also notices that his grandfather fainted after seeing her. It was like he had seen ghosts, but the old man refuses to reveal anything and tries every inch to stop him from going to school. Jonas is persistent, yet Nina asks for an old year school book, which makes Helena suspicious. She starts thinking of Nina as a danger, giving her a sharp, dangerous look. Nina keeps on with the research and finds out about her past in an old gazette. She looks similar to a teacher from 1985 who was with Jonas's grandfather. While she has been looking for the truth, evil comes to her, I mean Helena, and looks at her with warning eyes, but Nina gets stuck to her question. She asks about her purpose for visiting the island and what she wants to do with Jonas. Without answering her upsetting questions, Helena chokes her until she feels breathless. Nina struggles to fight back but no use. The wicked Helena proves stronger as having stronger killer instincts. She gags her until she loses the power to struggle and lose the strings of her life. She walks out of the library with staggering feet and finds Jonas looking for Nina like crazy. She has been missing since morning, and Jonas has no clue about her. Helena stops him on the way to the library and misleads about her. She sobs at her killer's hands and the rage that compelled her to commit the heinous crime. Now the task is to move the body out of the library because the students can be here at any moment. So she used curtain, wraps her with the saggy cloth, and hides it behind the blue boxes. She runs for the duct tape and rope, which help her in wrapping up the body more tightly. The rope helps her to drag it towards the car. And no one watches her doing criminal acts. She forgets about her belongings but then finds the keys to unlock the bicycle and rides them home with the body. Jonas and his friends sound worried about their missing friend. The island is not so big, and anyone missing can be easily highlighted. Nina's friend suspects Helena but doesn't say anything. Helena, on the other hand, is dragging the body to the beach with all her belongings, picturing it as a suicide. Jonas's grandfather finds Helena's home, and they stare at each other from the window for a long time until he leaves the place. Jonas keeps on dialing Nina's number, but it is continuously out of reach. By crushing the tablets, Helena prepares a poisonous powder and meets Jonas with a wine bottle. She lies to him about Nina being jealous of their relationship. She informs that Nina witnessed her leaving the house the morning next to his grandfather's sickness. Jonas can't believe her, but she sugarcoats the lie with some actual facts that he has no option but to believe. He feels awkward about his teacher sneaking into his room in the middle of the night, but she claims to put this on him too. Jonas is extremely confused and he wants to end this for all. Helena agrees and motivates him to continue writing and have 3 children with Nina. She shares some motivational words about his writing, which compels him to make a kiss. And they end up making love, and Jonas leaves the place with the regret of putting Nina in a terrible situation of jealousy and shame. He is back home, but his angry grandfather scolds him for being with Helena. However, he thinks of his grandfather as the enemy of his writing career and rebels against it. Next he wakes up with flashbacks of a nightmare and really bad news about his friend. They find Nina's body by the water waves and rush to the beach. He is extremely shocked to know about her suicide. The disturbing fact is that she was a really good swimmer, so she couldn't lose her life in the water. Her death not only traumatizes them, but his grandfather also gets a seizure. Although they have no history of seizures, the stress and trauma induce it. He is desperate in pain and can't hold the grief in. They can't accept her suicidal death, so they reach the library to investigate on their own. They find the Gazette, but the page is already ripped apart. They reach the digital media and find a lady named Maria Roth, who was the teacher in the same school in 1985. She also shares a picture with Jonas's grandfather in the newspaper. Her body was found dead near the beach, and rescue workers claimed it to be a drowned death. However, the facts said the intrusion of a third party or any other reason. This lady looks similar to Helena. Helena, on the contrary, is in the hospital and sneaks into his grandfather's room. Finally she reveals that her mother was the one who loved Jonas's grandfather from head to toe. She somehow used to believe that he would leave his children and wife for her, but he never did. She took her near the beach and drowned herself right in front of little 4-year-old Helena. She reveals the story with the pain in her eyes and how she felt when her mother committed suicide. With hopelessness in her eyes, she considers Jonas's grandfather responsible for her mother's death. In addition, she also reveals that she was the one who left the barking stray dog behind his wife. She also makes Jonas's parents strike the tree and lose their lives. Her sole purpose of visiting the island was to destroy the family of her mother's murderer. She intends to kill the old man. The burning fire of revenge is still visible in her eyes, and she is convinced to kill Jonas too. Luckily, she let the old man live, but for an evil cause. She takes Jonas's grandfather home after talking to the doctor and also arranges a nurse for him. Jonas is enraged to see her in his home and asks about her mother. She intends to handle the situation in a calm way, so she prepared coffee for both. But she puts sedative into it and lets him choke until he started losing his breath. She also puts his grandfather in front of the window so that he can see his grandson dying in front of his eyes. Old grandfather struggled less hard to stop her, but he is paralyzed and unable to move. Jonas has started shortness of breath and went on his knees. Helena allures him to crawl to the nearby pond and see him suffering just as she watched her mother suffer. She drags him to the pond and puts him under the water till he starts gagging. Jonas is weak due to the sedative, so she becomes dangerous. He takes up the courage and get her off. He manages to get a poking piece and stabs Helena on chest. Helena loosens her grip, and he frees himself. Helena is dead. Jonas also rescues his grandfather's life as well. In the last scene, he is leaving the island with rage and tears in his heart. And with that, the movie ends here.